We're looking at how everything we think about, the world bears witness to. My internal state of mind is showing up in the world. And if what is showing up in the world is other than what I would prefer, could I change my internal state of mind and have the world witness that change? What is real and what is not? Could it be that I am at one with everything I see? And what would I be that I see? You get to choose. You get to choose. You have the freedom to choose. And that power that is never forces anything upon you, though it may seem that way. And that's okay. Could you allow yourself to return to that power and see in the world what you would choose to be? It's a very simple process. Could you just allow what comes up for you as we go through, just listening to the sounds, the prompts that come out of this mouth? Could you see what comes up within you? And anything that comes up, could you release it? Could you just allow it to be there? Let it move and let it go. Release it from the world you see, release it from your being. Anything which you do not prefer. And it's always okay to hold on. It takes what it takes. This is your time to be that which you would see in the world. So, lesson 54, reviewing lesson 16, I have no neutral thoughts. Thoughts cannot be without effects. And as the world I see arises from my thinking errors, so will the real world rise before my eyes as I let my errors be corrected. So, what is an error? What is something that doesn't seem real that you would prefer not to have show up in the world that you've been thinking about? Simple question. Is there anything you've been thinking about that you don't want to see witnessed in the world, that you don't want to cause in the world? Your thoughts are showing up. What is something you've thought about which you would prefer disappear from the world? Taking any thought of anything, going behind that thought. Could you allow the thought to drift away and notice the energy that's been carried that would be attuned to such a thought, that would attract such a thought? Could you feel what it feels like? Could you allow yourself to let that energy move? Just letting it be there. Oh, look at this. Just feeling it, not a good energy, not a bad energy, just some energy. And could you let go of this energy and what the world witnesses when that energy goes into it? Could you let it go? Would you let it go if you could? It's your choice. It's your world. When could you let go and change the world? I have no neutral thoughts. Neutral thoughts are impossible because all thoughts have power. They will make the world that you see. Is there anything you're seeing in the world that's bearing witness to the thoughts that you've had, that you've held, that you've cycled, that you no longer wish to see in the world, that you're willing to release this projection? What has been showing up in the world that you would no longer Have be there. And taking that thought, that picture, that image, could you go behind it and notice any energy on that frequency of that thought? The thought is just an attempt to explain some accumulated energy. Could you notice any energy you've accumulated that those kinds of thoughts would flow to? And just let those thoughts flow by without following them. And allow this energy to begin to go. Just surrendering. Oh, there's a feeling here. Noticing this feeling and letting the feeling be there. Just surrendering. Just turning it over. Just sitting with the energy that has accumulated. You might even notice it lightening as you just allow it to be there, as you surrender, as this world begins to change. It's only going to be a whole new world. Could you surrender this energy? Give it up, turn it over. Would you surrender the thoughts that you would not see in the world anymore? When could you surrender and allow a new world from a new frequency to be witnessed? And just allowing any energy to move, thoughts to come up and drift by. It's okay. Thoughts happen. If you'd like to change the thoughts, could you allow yourself to release the energy? Lesson 17, I see no neutral things. What I see is bearing witness to what I've been thinking about. If you could allow yourself to notice this one lesson, could change the world. So, what's something you've been seeing which you would prefer no longer see in the world? It's just what you've been thinking about. Could you go behind the thought and allow this feeling that's been carried to come up? Could you open up and notice, oh, there's a feeling here behind this thoughts that I wouldn't like to see in the world anymore? This is where you witness the thought is not neutral, there's a feeling behind it. Could you open up and let that feeling up? Not a good feeling, not a bad feeling, not a huge feeling, not a small feeling, just some energy, just a feeling. And you might even notice it start to move and unstick as you simply let it be there. And could you release this feeling? Yes, no, either way is fine. Allowing this to happen as best you can. Would you release this energy from the world you see if you could? When could you release? Takes what it takes. Maybe now, maybe later, maybe never. It's your choice, it's your world. In lesson 17, I see no neutral things. What I see is the witness to what I've been thinking about. Nothing you see in the world is apart from the cause of your thinking about it. This is a very powerful concept. Just one concept could change your world. So if you're seeing anything that you would no longer see in the world, could you notice the thought you had about it? And could you go behind the thought, the thinking, the words, the sounds? Could you ignore those and allow yourself to welcome the energy that's been stuck or stored, accumulated on that frequency? This is what we call an attractor field. It's an energy which attracts like energy, like thoughts, like pictures. Could you just be with this energy, this feeling, this frequency as best you can? Just letting it be there. It's okay. Could you welcome this energy so it can move, so it can unstick, so it can be let go? I can't let it go of anything that I haven't been holding on to. Could you allow yourself to just welcome whatever's been held and begin to loosen the grip? And it's just a choice. Yes or no, could you let it go? Would you let it go from the world and bear witness to a new frequency? Let a new frequency of being be witnessed. When could you let go of the thoughts that you no longer see cause effect in the world? You never have to. And when could you? Lesson 18, I am not alone in experiencing the effects of my seeing. Nothing you think about is private, for it all affects the world. You are the cause. So, are there any thoughts you've had about a person in the world that would cause an effect in them? What have you been giving them? What have you been creating them as? What have you been choosing in the world? For you're not alone in the effects of how you see things, what you think about. So, is there any person, any situation, anything at all that you've been affecting with thoughts? And could you allow yourself to feel the feeling behind such thoughts, behind such creation? It's an energy, it's a frequency, and it's okay. Without making right or wrong of it, could you let the thoughts drift by and just notice, oh, there's a feeling there. It's been accumulated. It's been affecting the world. And it's okay. Pretending it's not there, trying to shove it down or get away from it doesn't make it go away. Could you just allow it to be there until it releases on its own? Could you allow yourself to just float in this energy just for a moment? Just feeling, just noticing this energy, letting any thoughts drift by without following them. And could you release this energy that would cause this effect in this person or situation? Would you release this energy of cause to witness new effects as you shift frequency? When could you release this energy and affect the world in a new way, a real way, which you consciously choose free of this feeling? Lesson 18, I am not alone in experiencing the effects of my seeing. You might notice you've thought at some point that you were separate from a person, a situation. Have you ever noticed it seems like here's me and there's this other person? We're separate? Well, it might seem that way. There might be thoughts of a me over here and a you over there. Though I cannot see anything except what I'm experiencing, what I'm causing, what I'm affecting. So, could you go behind the thoughts of separate yous and me's and them's and allow yourself to feel what it feels like to cause separation, division in one? And if you find yourself out in thoughts about what is this feeling, could you just let the thoughts scroll by without clicking on them and notice the feeling of division and separation, whatever that feels like, wherever it seems to be in your field? Could you notice any energy, any feeling, good or bad? This feels like division and separation, an attack on being one. And you never have to. Could you surrender the energy of separating and dividing the world and affecting that? Would you surrender the cause of separation, this feeling, and be at one with the world and everyone? You never have to, just an option. When could you surrender division and separation and be at one, affect that in the world? And lesson 19, I am not alone in experiencing the effects of my thoughts. Everything I think or say or do teaches all the universe. All the universe. What have you been teaching all the universe that you would no longer teach, that you'd remove from the lesson plan? What are things you've been saying or doing or thinking about that you would no longer teach the universe? For you are free to teach what you will. And it starts by just being okay. Oh, all right, I was teaching that. That's okay. And now I'm ready to move on. Could you just notice what it feels like to be teaching the universe what you no longer teach it, whatever that thought was for you? Could you go behind the thought of that lesson and just begin to embrace, not make right or wrong of this energy? It's okay. It's just some energy, just been carried along. Could you embrace it? That you could begin to let it go. First, I must acknowledge I'm holding something. To let go of something, could you just embrace it consciously? Hold that feeling, that energy for a moment, just a moment of eternity. It's okay. Just a moment of feeling something that's been carried for a lifetime, perhaps, or more. Though no longer will you teach this in the world once you've allowed this feeling to move through and go. Could you allow it to be there, to move through? Just a moment to free the universe from this teaching forever. Is it worth it to allow yourself to feel and embrace this feeling for a moment, to free yourself and all that is for the rest? And could you let it go? Just could you let go of that lesson, that teaching? It's complete. Move on to 102, 101's done. When could you release that old stuff? Teach something new. Would you release it if you could? Would you let it go? And you're always free. You never have to let go or release or surrender. It's just what would you teach in the world? For you're not alone in experiencing the effects of your thoughts. Everything you think or say or do teaches all the universe. And this is not to guilt you, to make bad of you. You're innocent. Just something that was picked up along the way. What would you no longer be handing on to all of your students, the entire universe? It's okay. It's okay. We all do it. We've all done it, or we wouldn't be here. Could you just notice what you no longer think or say or do to teach the universe? And taking that particular lesson, could you go behind the thoughts and imaginings and pictures of whatever that is and just notice the frequency, the energy behind such a lesson, behind those doings, thinkings, and sayings? Could you just allow that energy? Acknowledge it. It's okay. Your innocence remains. Could you allow this energy to come up, unstick, and move just by feeling it, just by letting it be there? Could you be surrendering As you notice what's been taught before and what it feels like to teach that, you just be surrendering it, turning it over to God as you notice it, feel it. It's okay. Could it be okay just to feel this for now? Some end of term paperwork, just letting it happen so you can move on. Just reviewing this energy. Oh, yes, was carrying that, was teaching that. It's okay. And could you surrender affecting that on the universe? Just give it up. Would you surrender it if you could teach something new to the universe? When could you surrender your innocent past understanding, past feeling? It's okay. We just did not know. It's okay. Could you surrender the perpetuation of lessons that just aren't even true? And lesson 20, I am determined to see. Now that you are aware that what you're seeing is but the effect of what you've been carrying energetically, a frequency you've been on, could you begin to enable yourself to see truly, see reality, and be at one with the will of God, not separate, at one? Is there any resistance, any refusal, or any denial? And it's okay. We all do this in our innocence. Is there any resistance, refusal, or denial of the love and oneness of God? How does that feel to be resisting it? And it's okay. When you feel this resistance, it will run out. When you feel this energy, it will lighten and go away and be replaced by that oneness, that love. Could you allow any resistance that's been stuck or carried to the will of God, the love of God, as one? Just let it run, just let it be there until it runs out. It may run out quickly, may take a while. Could you just let that be there? It's okay, you're still innocent. And could you let go of resisting the oneness, the love, the will of God? Just a choice. Would you let it go if you could? You never have to. When could you let go of resisting love, oneness, and the will of God? If you are determined to see reality, would you let go of any resisting reality? And if reality is that oneness, that love, the will of God, not separate from your will, could you be determined to release and free yourself from seeing anything else? Could you notice any fighting, any resisting, any denying that love and that oneness and that will of God that is yours. It's okay. Could it be okay to just allow that up? Anything in the way of your seeing what's real? That resistance, could you let it come up? Whatever that feels like, let it unstick, let it move. Could you let it run? What happens when something runs? It runs out. Could you allow that resistance just to be here, just to run? And could you release this resistance to the love, the oneness, the will of God, not separate from your will? Would you release anything blocking you seeing reality? It's just a choice. When could you release the resistance to the oneness, the love, and the will of God? And well done releasing. Feel free to just continue to allow. Perhaps something has come through. You're releasing the resistance. Could you allow that? Could you come to an experience of reality? Could you put reality into the world with your new frequency or the true frequency of that which you are? And anything old, it's okay. Anything that you'd not prefer to think about, could you just allow it up? This energy, this old stuff that's not even true, not even real. It's okay to be letting it go. Oh, yes, I've been holding this. I'll allow myself to hold it for a moment more and let it go. That's it. So simple, so easy, so divine. That which is true is freely available at all times in all places for free. Could you be with what's true? Infinite availability. I was listening to Dr. Hawkins talk the other day, and a man asked him about the Course in Miracles, and he said, "Well, is there any way to do it faster?" And Dr. Hawkins said, "Well, you could do every 5 lessons instead of every single one." And I think I heard him say, or you could just take one lesson, just one lesson, and allow that lesson to work through fully. Any lesson could be that lesson which takes you all the way to the reality of what you are. Some of these lessons that we were just reviewing are extremely powerful if you allow yourself to work them through. So feel free to watch this again or sit with your workbook or your app, wherever you do your Course in Miracles, and allow these lessons to work upon you. And the beginning of the workbook, it says, use whatever comes up for you. In your innocence, you may have adopted some things that are very resistant to these lessons, that are in fact refusing them. Could you use that as it comes up? Just an option. In love, in innocence. Oh, this came up. Could you allow it to come up and could you release it? I'm so grateful to be in this series with y'all. It's been incredible. Really noticed a transformation. Could you share if you've had any transformations? Please feel free to comment or join us at releasetoresults.com and bring up anything that you'd like to release, like some additional help releasing. And I look forward to seeing you in more of these live streams and sessions and in this field of oneness. Happy to be with you here. Have the best day you can.